Hello, everyone. I'm Chester44, also known as Felai, and welcome to this Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. Last episode, I believe we'd done some exploring through the Woodend Plains. We do have more places to go at the Searing Falls and Stormwall Gorge, and we did manage to make our way towards the Adelwan Bridge, which will lead into Defiance Bay. And thinking about it, I decided, you know what, let's go take a look at Stormwall Gorge and see what we can see of the other wilderness areas around down here. We may as well. Why not? So, on to Stormwall Gorge. And here we are, Stormwall Gorge. This may be a large area, but let's go through it and see what we can find. As I normally do, we start by following the roads and then uncover everything off the roads. Hopefully this area isn't too high level for us. Oh, found a body. Kinda unfortunate. Looks like the path splits there, and one of them actually goes down. Interesting. Okay, there's the upper part. That leads to Deerford Village, which I imagine we'll be going to later. You know what, we've already got the upper part, we may as well clear that out. Oh, found something. A lioness. Couple lions. Oh boy, they are hitting harder than I'd like. And one of us is down.
Let's go.
Well, that's unfortunate. Bruised ribs, that's not very pleasant. We'll get you fixed up when we rest later on, okay, Durance? Sorry about that. Still only Durwood Village. And we may be coming here a little too soon. Maybe. Possibly. Well, there are a fair number of plants here to harvest, though. So at least there's that. Oh. There we go. And we've got a feral druid. A couple feral druids. I think maybe we're here too soon. Oh, yeah, we're almost certainly here too soon. You know what? We're not gonna come in here. It's way too soon. Reloading. Fine then. We'll ignore Stormwall Gorge for now, and instead let's head into the Adelwan Bridge for Defiance Bay. Let's try and get in there. May as well continue that whole story. Maybe we'll get better levels and be able to look through the areas around here soon. And we're here, and it's all visible.
Got it.
Interesting. Couple gold names. Bunch of commoners. Welcome to Defiance Bay. But watch yourself in our city, understand? Justicar Forgent.
Hello.
What can I do for you? What can you tell me about Defiance Bay? Sorry, but I don't have time right now. But it sounds like that Dozens crackpot Rowan is stirring up trouble again. He jerks his head at the gate. He'd be all too happy to give you a rundown of the city. Liberally flavored with Dozens propaganda, of course. I'm looking for the Temple of Wodica. He scratches his beard. Not sure why you'd want to go there. It's in the first fires if you really want to see it. You seem to be on edge. What's the problem? Thousands of them, truth be told. We've got refugees coming in from all parts under some misguided notion that things are actually better here. That the legacy somehow passed us over. So they show up with no prospects and little money and just end up making a worse mess of things. No offense. None taken. Goodbye. And good luck to you. Now, it sounds like there's issues going on. Wonderful. Well, there wasn't really much going on in the bridge. So, let's head in to... I guess Copper Lane is all we got.
Defiance Bay. The city at the heart of the Deerwoods Revolution now seems on the brink of another. Refugees line the streets, homeless and hungry, displaced by Whiteone's legacy, hoping for relief within the city walls, and finding none. Dissidents congregate to protest and to heckle, calling for an end to animancy and the ouster of their duke. The city's militiamen cast fearful looks as they patrol the streets, their hands trembling at the hilts of their weapons. The capital of a country that had not long ago incinerated a god now appears to be a spark away from sharing the deity's fate.
Well, that's a little concerning. I guess we're starting the next chapter. And here we are. So what have we got? We've got the Goose and Fox. Sounds like a tavern to rest in. Pernist's house. The marketplace. Admeth's Den Expedition Hall. World map. Lumdala's house. Scrivener's dormitory. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries. First Fires. The Catacombs. Brackenbury. Alright, well, let's begin looking around.
Defiance Bay. I miss Adir already.
Oh, I can't interact with the cat. These animancers have brought divine wrath upon us all. And yet the Duke and his toadies and the Crucible Knights do nothing. Can we allow these atrocities to continue unchecked? No. Done with animancy. Widewind's legacy was one warning. Heritage Hill was another. Spread the word. Together we'll drive the blight of animancy from our city.
Well met, friend.
Rowan's arms are crossed and his mouth is set in a grim frown as he watches the gathered protesters. He looks ready for a fight. He sizes you up. New in town, eh? Well, you've picked an interesting time to visit Defiance Bay. All these refugees fleeing the frontier and finding the legacy's no better here. It's the Animancers, migrants, scorch 'em, and they nest in this city like rats. You mark my words, though. Us Dozens are gonna put a stop to it. What are you doing out here? He gestures at the crowd, which buzzes with angry chatter. Trying to get folk to see reason. We're in the midst of a crisis, and instead of purging the nefarious forces from our city, the Duke is granting Animancers dangerous liberties. What do you know about Animancy? It's the study and manipulation of essence, which any sane person will tell you is the purview of the gods. The Adirans, at least, had the sense to outlaw it, which is the only good thing you can say about them. It's not like magic, chanting, or the soul readings those ciphers do. It's been around since ancient Ingwithan times, which is why you'll see Animancers tinkering with old Ingwithan artifacts. Kana raises a fist to cough discreetly into it. Half-truths all. But he's an enthusiastic performer, I'll give him that. Trouble is, the Animancers got no idea what half those artifacts actually do. Not that I'll admit it. Our emphatic friend is correct about one thing, at least. Tell me about the dozens. He taps his chest. We're an organization of interested citizens who want to free Defiance Bay from the dangerous influence of animancers and the tyranny of the aristocrats who support them. We also consider ourselves a militia of sorts, seeing as the Crucible Knights are little more than a flock of preening nobles in training these days. Just like the militia, the dozens, except for the training, and the discipline, and the code of honor. His eyes gleam. And we're always looking to expand. The more people see things our way, the better for the state of the country. You have any interest in hearing more? Stop by Admet's Den sometime. The Expedition Hall. A lot of free thinkers in there can set straight all the nonsense the nobles and the animancers want you to believe. Might even be some paid work there for motivated types. I'd like to know more about Defiance Bay. He gets a mischievous gleam in his eye. Aye, I bet they don't teach about the colony that trounced Hadret's handmaiden back in good old Adir, do they? This is the capital of the Free Palatinate of the Deerwood. We started out as the capital of an Adiran colony, but we booted the Flaccid Scepter from these lands 150 years ago. These days, we're a major port receiving trade and visitors from all over the world. But we, well, some of us anyway, strive to hold on to the pioneering spirit that earned us our freedom a century and a half ago. The city's divided into 5 districts: Copper Lane, First Fires, Andra's Gift, Brackenbury, and Heritage Hill. He ticks each off on a calloused finger. Tell me about Copper Lane. Well, this here is Copper Lane. He taps a scuffed boot on the cobblestones. Yeah, it's primarily a market district, but you've also got the Expedition Hall directly north of here, where you can join treks into the wilds. It's also where my fellow dozens martyrs and I tend to meet up with other concerned citizens. He points to a long domed building west and north of your position. And that's the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Eerie place, you ask me, but they've got the biggest library in Deerwood. Kana laughs. Eerie indeed. It might be less so if more kith stepped inside. Perhaps we ought to visit Laniara and see just what mysteries are revealed. Tell me about Brackenbury. A noise of disgust rattles in his throat. The nobility that didn't sail back to Adir stayed there. Most of the families there trace their lineage back to old imperial times. Other than the lot of has-been nobility, you've got Hadred House, where Lady Webb and her spies operate, and Brackenbury Sanitarium, the main cesspit of animancy in the city. Tell me about First Fires. Well, that's where the revolution started, hence the name. These days it's overrun with politicians and panderers, but we'll take it back someday. That's where you'll find the Ducal Palace, the Valiant Embassy, and Crucible Keep. He shakes his head. The Crucible Knights were the original freedom fighters in Defiance Bay, but now they're just strutting peacocks with their eyes on fancy titles and their heads up their asses. There's an old temple to Wotica there, too. We keep it real nice for her. He winks. Tell me about Andra's Gift. Got the name because there was a wetland that was drained back in the Imperial days. Now it's a seedy district populated by sailors, common folk, and more than a few thugs. But it's a fun place too if you know where to look. He winks and elbows you. Look for a place called the Salty Mess when you're there. Other than that, it's mostly warehouses and abandoned homes. Tell me about Heritage Hill. It used to be one of the more prestigious districts in the city. Heroes of the Revolution claimed plots up there next to an ancient Engwithan tower in the city cemetery. Had the best views in Defiance Bay. Attracts richer types these days. A lot of animancy patrons. He glances at the crowd and lowers his voice. You wouldn't have heard, but something happened over there a couple months ago. The authorities sealed it off and they're keeping their mouths shut, but mark my words. Animancy's to blame. Alright. Farewell. Okay. So, from what he said, this area is just like the Market District. Brackenbury is the rich people's district. First Fires is, I guess, the Temple District and the Palace. Andra's gift is basically the docks and Heritage Hill. Something's going on there. Alright, let's see what else we can find around here. Doesn't look like there's anything over here, so only place to go is over the bridge. I suppose we can make our way to the marketplace. Be able to sell things there if need be. The calm waters smell faintly of refuse. The Goose and Fox. Ah, right. Actually, we should stop in there, because we'll find the tavern. I imagine. It's probably a tavern. This definitely looks like a tavern. You'll find all sorts. Everyone's a philosopher here. This Stelgare's pelt is thick with dust and moths. The plaque below the beast reads, Maiden Falls, 2682. Errol of Levy looks on enigmatically from the canvas.
Hello.
The man behind the bar is nearly the size of an Amawa. A handle protrudes from his back and his face is set in a stoic frown. He gives you a small nod. Here for a drink? There's a tiny pewter cup in front of him. He turns it in one broad hand, but doesn't drink from it. Tell me about yourself. Name's Bishop. Used to be a scholar of Bareth. Now I run the Goose and Fox and keep the regulars in line. He shifts and you see a warhammer strapped to his back. What more is there to tell? How'd you go from religion to taverns? The journey isn't as long as you'd think. It started with Hollowborn. And with this. He takes a black bottle from under the bar and fills a pewter cup. It was my sister's son. He takes a drink. At the beginning of Widewind's legacy, he was one of the first. I never expected there would be so many after him. Tragedy is part of the cycle, but it's followed by rebirth. Yet every year, more parents were grieving for their Hollowborn children, and the gods were silent. So you lost your faith? He leans forward, crossing his arms on the bar. Bareth promises rebirth. Cycles. But the only one I found was this one. Have a drink. Have another, and another, until I couldn't remember how I got home. Wake up, come back. I finally woke up one day to see my family had packed up and left. For all I know, they'd left days before, and I just hadn't noticed, but they were gone. So I came here. I've cleaned up since then. Not that I've found my answers. I just stopped asking questions. Well, this is a lively place. It was founded in the early days of Deerwood and independence by a traveling scholar named Errol of Levy. He wanted a place where kith of all backgrounds could gather and hash out the issues facing the new country. He rests his elbows on the polished wood of the bar. It didn't take long for the place to fill up. Brackenbury aristocrats argued with dock workers from the Gift, while soldiers wrangled with politicians. Deerwoodans have never been known to turn down an argument. He takes a sip from the tiny cup. What happened next? Soon, kith were coming from the farms and settlements too. He waves at the door as if expecting a crowd to bustle in. This place got even more popular with the Valian sailors than the Salty Mast. And that was the problem. No matter what people say about fair-mindedness and civil debate, there's only so much people will tolerate. God, don't that be the truth. Errol found himself on the wrong side of an argument with the wrong Thane. And when he disappeared a few days later, some said it was the work of that Thane. He shrugs, spreading his hands over the bar as he surveys the room. But Errol knew which way the wind was blowing. If you ask me, he skipped town, hid out somewhere, hoping for rational minds to prevail in Defiance Bay. He cracks a wry grin. Oh, if only he could see it now. Looking to hire an adventurer. Plenty of those around here. Okay, we could get another adventurer if we needed. We've got the, this here. Oh, Yellow Lab. The small yellow dog seems singularly happy to accompany you, panting merrily as it loafs beside you. For the sake of fun, I'll try and collect every single pet that there is. Even though I won't send him out. Okay. Recruit adventures, retrain character, party management, rooms. So we've got the Merchant's Stay for Perception and Resolve. The Suite of Worldly Wonders for 1 intellect and 2 lore. The Fletcher's Stay for athletics, mechanics, and ranged accuracy. And The Vixen's Burrow. Dexterity, survival, and defense when disengaging. Despite it being what I am, I doubt we'll ever use the Vixen's Burrow. Suite of Worldly Wonders. I don't use intellect or lore that much. Fletcher's Stay has a fair bit, and it has the mechanics boost, but I think Merchant's Stay is the one most likely to be used because of the perception and resolve bonuses. Those are probably very useful.
Good day, stranger.
If I choose order some refreshments, it brings up that.
Hello.
And if I choose get a room, brings up that. Okay. Just clearing those out. Okay. That miserable bastard. A woman sits by herself, spinning something on the table in front of her and watching it with furious intensity. It's about the size of a coin, and it wobbles over a crack in the wood with a metallic rattle. She snatches it up with one hand and slams a half-empty cup down on the table with the other. This is not a good time. What are you doing here? She takes a long drink from her glass. Just trying to calm down, and trying to talk myself out of something foolish. Something foolish? She says nothing for a few moments, as if hoping you'll leave. At last, Kainra looks up at you and a lamplight falls across her face. A purpling bruise is blossoming along her cheekbone. There's something I need to give my fiancé, Pernisk. Only he doesn't seem to go anywhere without his new friends, and they're not exactly pleasant company. Tell me about these new friends. They come into our house with their dead eyes and their black teeth. I'm not a fool, I know what it means. Pernisk makes me leave when they show up, but it's obvious what they come to do. Last time they came, I told them to get out. Let them have their fun somewhere in the gift, but not under my roof. She scowls and then winces, her fingertips gently probing her bruise. Svef changes you, I guess. The Pernisk I knew wouldn't have quashed a spider. I never thought he'd... She trails off, still feeling the swollen, discovered flesh. But Svef makes people calm and listless. It shouldn't make them violent. I'm guessing it's a drug. Kainra shrugs. I don't really know. Seemed better than believing he's always been this way. Maybe I could go talk to him. Her hand rests on the table and she clenches it into a white-knuckled fist. There's nothing more to say to him. We've finished. I just want to give this back to him and have a clean break. She opens her hand and a ring clatters onto the table. It was his grandmother's. Even after this, I don't have the heart to sell it off. But if I go back there myself, I know what'll happen. I lose my temper and I'll probably wind up with another one of these. She points to her bruise. But I've heard you're trustworthy. If you give this back to him, he'll know we're done. I'll take this ring to Pernisk, then. She looks at you and nods. The house is just north of here. Please don't hurt him. As furious as I am, I don't want that on my conscience. Well, that's a little concerning. Oh! Adair has something to say. Alright, we'll speak to him in a bit after we go through all this. Wonder how long he's been waiting to say something. Can you pick the lock?
I
You
can.
can.
Do that. That's settled.
A little free experience. Oh, what's this? A dragon is outlined in charcoal pencil. The thick, jagged lines and the faint smell of sulfur suggest that the artist completed the sketch in a hurry. Cliff Dragon, White March 2685. He completed the sketch while he's probably running from the dragon in question. The painting depicts Glanfathan ruins, and the canvas bears the rough brush strokes of a talented amateur. Ibril's Well, 2665. A dwarf and an Orlan debate philosophy on the other side of the curtain. You know what? Let's see what you have to say, Adair.
The dozens. Pretty sure you won't find one among them who stood within 100 miles of that bridge when the Godhammer went off. Too bad, too. Then there'd be less of them.
Why do they call themselves the Dozens? Was 12 dear Woodens. Stood outside Halgot Citadel waiting for Widewind to cross the bridge there. They had to hold him there long enough for the Godhammer to detonate, so that's what they did. Godhammer? That's what they called the bomb that blew up Waidwin with. Don't know much about it other than that. Anything kills a living god, guess you gotta name it. What do you have against the dozens? Nothing serious. Nothing I don't have against a lot of folks, anyway. The dozens, they like to take things into their own hands. Gets ugly sometimes. We don't have 'em in Gilded Vale, but they'd be right at home there. They picked that name so they could do what they wanted and feel like it was right. Got nothing to do with honor or sacrifice. They like to invoke Margaret, too, when they especially want to feel right. Somehow, I don't think she'd be too impressed with that law. I'm sure she'd like 'em set on fire anytime they use her name, but the gods probably got rules against that sort of thing. There must be plenty of other groups that are better reflections of the figures that inspired them. Sure, I just can't think of any off the top of my head. I shouldn't say that. There's a group of Athasians, the Night Market. They still do right by their god. Helped get a lot of people to safety during the purges. They're easy to forget about, though, because they have to work in secret. You can thank people like the dozens for that, too. Let's continue on. Good idea. So that's what the dozens are like. Alright, let's take a quick look upstairs before we end the episode. See if there's anything of note in here, and it seems there is. Scattered amongst such titles as Flora of the Living Lands, Unity and Disunity, A History of the Deadfire Archipelago, and Treatises on the Kulklin People are half a dozen travel journals held together with twine. Daedon is busy filing a spur off a small round bullet. A burly Almoa raises a hand in greeting. Ilfa nods at you, a pint in one hand and a mace slung over her shoulder. The Orlin woman nods at you, a cup of wine in hand and a scepter across her lap. An Orlin man relaxes with his feet propped on the table. Patches of dark brown skin peek out from under a full mane of blue-green hair. He and the Orlin woman with him exchange laughs and comments with the trio at a nearby table, and he spins a dagger in his hand. His hazel eyes watch you. You look like you've seen a night or two in the wilds. Joining us for a drink? Who are all of you? The name's Two-Tone Weaksel. The lady next to me is Key. We've had our fun with the expeditions, but we were hoping to enjoy a little peace and quiet. For the next few weeks, anyway. A man at the next table nods at you. I'm Dreadshaw Daedon. This is Hardy and Ilfa. We were part of separate expedition teams, but we both suffered losses and decided to band together. He took several items off his fingers. Beasts, barbarians, bioarchs. It's a dangerous time to be an adventurer, but a prosperous one, too. At the next table, Daedon raises his glass. And here's to many more prosperous journeys. Is there something else you wanted? Nope. I guess I was just talking to people. A couple rooms in here. Let's see. Old Valia, southern coast, circa 2670 AI.
Settled.
I can unlock things as long as I'm not taking out of him, because it's actually getting me... that one I wouldn't be stealing. Sure, taken. If it's not stealing, we'll take it.
A simple test. That's
If it is stealing, we'll unlock it for the experience, but not take anything. We've got The Most Unfortunate Tale of Favia and Bernat of Alien Tragedy. Something we can sell. The pages of these old books are crisp and fragrant with the salt of a sea breeze. Alright. Well, that seems to be everything in the Goose and Fox, so I think I'm going to end this episode here. Next episode, we'll head northwards towards the market and towards Pernisk's home? Pernisk? Whatever his name was. I think it was Pernisk. Pernsk? It started with a P, ended with a C, and I'm pretty sure there was an N in the middle. It was something like that. Pernisks. Alright.
Sagani, does your fox bite?
Yes.
Can I pet him anyway?
It's your hand.
I'm gonna pet him.
I think Adair likes the fox. Who wouldn't like the fox? Anyway, Next episode, we'll do some more exploring here. Till then, I am Chester44, also known as Falai. That is Laniara, Adair, Durance, Aloth, Kana, and Sagani. This has been a Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity, and I shall see you all next time.